Hey beautiful artists, did you know that this is almost done? I'm just getting the finishing touches on the canvas, a little bit of glazing just to bring the last few things into focus. Did you know that if you just keep watching right here where you are right now, you're going to see how to do this step by step by step, because I filmed it with my Patreon people and we all did it together and it was amazing. But now you get to see it in its entirety. If you have that many minutes today, you might have to pace yourselves. There's a lot. See you at the other end. We are going to start a whole new project today. That's exciting. So we have the new stencil set that the lovely Marissa has made for us. Honestly, I am so grateful for that woman and everything she does for all of us. So we have a positive kangaroo paw. We have the little Carimbia leaves. We have the mixed Australian native leaves. There's Banksia leaves. I think they're all different Banksias. There's hundreds of different Banksias. Who knew? There's the Banksia pods, and there is the negative kangaroo paws. So all of those are going to be used, but first we have had to gesso our canvases. Don't throw things on the floor, Dee. That's not professional, is it? So the canvas is gessoed. Now there's a thing that's going on. So last week, pardon me, I put up the forest painting workshop for everybody, and it's great, and a lot of the things I do there I still do now, but we filmed that, I think it was 2019, and at that time I used to use chunky gesso underneath, so I really wanted textures underneath to help inform the colour rub on top. That does make it much more difficult to use stencils on top, and now that I have mastery over my pebble, I don't need that anymore. It's also expensive. It's a lot of gesso. So I don't do that anymore. I haven't done it here. So there's that. And there is also, in that video, I use a coat of binder medium to set the colours before I keep working on top. Now I tend to not do that anymore, but there's a caveat there. If I'm going to do something with a lot of masking tape, such as a negative forest painting, you need the binder coat. It does increase the likelihood that you might over time develop some cracks in the painting, but without the masking tape on there, without the binder coat on there, get your words right, Dee. Without the binder coat on there, the masking tape will lift your colour rub, and that's not ideal. So we're I think we're skirting around the edges here of the fact that I use a lot of different techniques and not all of them are compatible, not all of them are used all the time. I very much make a decision based on where I think I'm going, what I have planned, and may not happen, I don't know. As I said last week, and I think I need this on a t-shirt, sometimes it's a lollipop, sometimes it's a pickle. I think I need to wear that. I don't know. the first of a line of merch that people will not understand. I did one time make a t-shirt. I don't know if you are familiar with the term enfant terrible. So it means basically the terrible infants. And it was used to describe the young artists of postmodernism. So we're talking about the 1960s and 70s, and there was a group of Australian artists who went overseas that were part of this, but in general it's used to describe young audacious artists. So I didn't put enfant terrible on my t-shirt. I put geriatric terrible, so old person who is still terrible, who is still scary and audacious in the art world. Yeah, nobody gets it. It's okay, my art friends do. Anyway, enough of bloody t-shirts. Okay, we have our canvas. It has been gessoed. It has not been gessoed smoothly. I have gessoed it, haven't I? Oh yes, there's a bit of a concern for a moment there. Yeah, I can see the brush marks. We are going to do a colour rub on this. It's going to be about kangaroo paws, and so I'm going to choose my colours accordingly. I'm so happy you're here for the start of a whole new project. How exciting. Okay, so I'm going to be working in landscape format this time. I have a great propensity to love a portrait setup, but landscape is actually more saleable because people tend to have a space above their bed, above their couch, above their television to hang a painting. They don't necessarily have room to hang something this size in portrait format. So portrait, landscape. I know I want to disappear into the distance here, and I know I want my main hero to be here, and I know I want some kind of rows of landscape, I think, here. So I'm just going to mark out what I want. I don't want my I don't want evenness, I don't want symmetry. So I'm just kind of doing that, and I think that's enough. Okay, naphthol red light, permanent alizarin, which is also known as alizarin crimson, my good friend Australian sienna. Now if you don't have it, remember we mixed it one other time with Indian yellow and transparent red oxide. Green black. If you don't have that one, it's phthalo green and burnt umber. Phthalo green, hard to substitute. Maybe phthalo turquoise with a little bit of permanent green light in it would probably do it. We have rich gold, no substitute. Okay, so I'm just going to put out some of those colours. I'm so happy to be making a painting today. The weather has finally cooled down, and I'm so happy about that. All right. Phthalo green. Now I'm putting out darn near a tablespoon of each one of these. It's maybe 2/3 of a tablespoon. What else do I need? Green, black and alizarin. So I'm making sure that I spread these out on my palette. I'm leaving myself room to move. Oi. I didn't realise how much it annoys me when there's air left inside the tube when the lid goes on, until I started using up the paints that are left over from Arts Tree. It irritates the hell out of me. Apparently, I'm quite anal about my paints. Who knew? I didn't think there was much I was anal about, but man, I'm controlling about this. Okay, so there's how much paint I have on my palette. Look at them, aren't they delicious? All right, I have my pebble. I have Grunter, who I noticed in that last workshop when I was editing it, I used to call Grunter Pigsy, and somehow I changed. I I wasn't aware. It's the same spray bottle. I don't know how a $2 spray bottle is still going, but it is. Don't break, because I've told you that. Don't get all entitled and up in your own self. Not today. I have wet but not dripping Chuck's Robust cloths, which are apparently not really called that anymore. They're called Chuck's Heavy Duty or somewhat similar. I'm folding them all and then making them into a pad so I don't have creases along the front that will hold too much paint and waste it, because paint's expensive. I don't have to tell you that, do I? Paint's expensive. I've got 5 cloths and 6 colours. All right, I have my Chuck's cloths, I have my Pebble, I have my spray bottle, who apparently has multiple personalities now too. Who knew? So, this is the distance, this is the mid-ground, this is the foreground. Can you all see my canvas? Or do I? Oh, sorry, you're missing the top bit. Come in here. Come in here, my little lovelies. It is hard to judge the size of a canvas, especially when all you have to compare it to is me, and I might be very close, or I might be close to it, and also I might be a giant. I'm not, but I might be. You never know. All right, I'm going to start with the gold, but that was the end of a tube, so I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit more. Makes me nervous if I think I don't have enough paint. All right, we are going to have growing things, growing kangaroo paws and sticking up Banksia pods. So I want to make sure that a lot of my pebble marking is more or less upright. That doesn't mean I need my what am I going to call these marks? My cloth markings. I don't need them upright necessarily. So I will just do my usual trick. Make sure I'm not cookie cuttering. That means I'm not repeating the same mark over and over again. I don't really know what I want with the gold. To tell you the absolute truth. So I'm just making some splots. I've already run out. And I'll do a bit more because gold mixes so beautifully with all the other colours. It sort of calms them down and livens them up all at the same time. See, you thought I was confusing before, huh? Sorry, guys. Sorry, beautiful people. All right, I want to make sure I engage with the edges of my canvas. I don't want everything just sort of in the middle, and I don't want to keep the same spacings between. All right, that'll do. Let's go on to some Australian sienna. Now, I want some of this in the foreground because it'll bring it forward, but I also want some little bits back here, and here I'm going to be conscious to keep my mark making just a bit smaller back there, and here some bigger ones. And I might leave it out of that middle bit, I think. So I've kind of got this big arc and then the small arc, and I'm kind of ignoring the middle for the moment. Okay, now still with the same cloth, into the Naphthol Red Light. And again, I just want to ignore that middle bit. Okay, now into the alizarin crimson, and that can go in here. And a little bit, a few little marks up here. I know this is going to be largely grey up in that corner, but just in case I have a few kangaroo paws poking up into there, I do want to make sure that I put colour behind the whole canvas, because while I have an idea of where I'm headed, that's not set in stone, and I want to be open to all the possibilities. Okay, switch now to a new cloth and get this phthalo green in. So right now I'm trying to keep away from getting all of these reds on my cloth, but I will integrate them very shortly, just as soon as I've sort of set up a safety net for myself of having some plain phthalo green, because the red will dirty it down very fast because they live across the colour wheel from each other. And I think I want probably not much up there. Okay, and now some green black. So in the gaps that are left, that's probably too big a gap. I will need to pick up something else in there. Oh, I do love a colour rub. Okay, so that's there. I've still got some gaps. What do I want over here? I think I just want that in there. Okay, and I'll use it up here too, just so that I don't have a bare area. Now, some water to make it slippery. All right, it's pebble time. Pebble time, the most exciting time of my day. All right, that's going to be my hero. That's off in the distance. So I want to get stemmy and linear up there. Coming back the other way, so starting to angle out to the right. I've got a very neutral colour on my pebble right now from going through all those reds and greens, so I need to clean it, and I need to make sure some of these marks come all the way up to the top of the canvas. Whoa, I like it. I like it very much. So now I'm just looking now for any hard edges. So where the colour is just too, it jumps from one colour to the next too quickly. It gives me an edge that might not make sense. So I need to just soften those out a little bit without creating too much mud. Because a little bit of mud's okay. A little bit of, let's not call it mud, let's call it bridging colours. I know I want some depth down here because I'm going to be stenciling quite a lot down there. So where it's quite bright white, where I've pushed through to the canvas underneath, this is why your gesso needs to be really properly dry for this, because otherwise it will start mixing with the colours on top. It'll make everything milky. We don't want that. I think that's a bit solid, that mark. So nice. I might just break that one up a bit too. All right, that's looking pretty all right, I think. So a little bit more water spray. So put it on just gently. Let it run down because that will soften the paint in its path. And then if I just wait, I wait for, I don't know, till I can't wait anymore probably. It's only a couple minutes, feels like forever at times. What that water is doing is softening what's underneath it as it comes down, and so then when I come back in with my spray bottle again, I can push it sideways and that will create some clear channels. So rather than just bringing down the paint on top, it's going to allow me to just sort of squirt in sideways and just get the colours mixing a bit. So those clear channels I mentioned, not a single one has shown itself. Sometimes they don't. But you will find it's different if you spray at it and if you spray across it. You will find a difference in your mark making. Oh, that's beautiful. Part 2 of the Kangaroo Paw project. So this one is about negative painting. So negative painting is something that is very likely to do your head in at first because we're painting around things. We're using negative stencils like this to put the paint around the thing, not on the thing. The thing itself, the flower, will be made from these beautiful colours that we put down first. And what we're trying to do is make it feel like a landscape that will go off into the distance. So we're going to do it first in toast grey, and we're going to create a line somewhere here across so that that still leaves us room to go back another layer. So first we do grey, we let that dry, and then we do white on top of it, but back a bit further. I promise it will make sense. At some point it will make sense. So I have my Kangaroo Paw stencil here, my negative one, and I also have this negative one from the first stencil pack, from the Painting Australian Flowers pack. So I'm very fortunate. I have multiple copies of the same stencil. I'm so lucky that I have that, because it enables me to do this in one swoop to show you. If I only had one, I'd probably have to do a bit and then either wait for it to dry or at least wash the stencil to keep going. But I don't have to do that, and I'm very lucky. I count myself very, very fortunate. All right, we need the stencils, we need the masking tape. This has just been allowed to dry. It doesn't have any binder medium or anything like that on it. It's just the paint that I put on. There's been some questions lately about how much the water dilutes the paint, and therefore how likely it is to flake off the canvas. That's a very real caution. It's a very real thing that might happen. What happens for me is I end up working over all of this so much with various textures and glazes that none of it remains untouched, and at the end, if there are still bits that are just this very fragile layer, I just glaze them with clear glaze medium, no paint added, just to protect them. Acrylic paintings are much tougher than oil paintings, in my humble opinion. Okay, so I'm thinking this. So a high point about here, coming down on this side, coming down on this side. So I'm really just looking for something lovely that I want to preserve, and I really like those bold colours in there. I don't want to go too high here, because that'll give me no room for the next layer. I think there's a good enough place to start. So a little bit of masking tape along the bottom and a little bit up higher. All right, that's one stencil placed. Now I've got some versions that are a little bit different. I think I'll come in there, let them overlap a bit. I'm not too fussed about what happens at the bottom of the stencil with masking tape, but you see how it won't stay up by itself. This is a good argument for doing it on the table rather than the easel, but I need to show you all, so I need to work up where you can see. I do also prefer to work up on the easel. It's not all your fault. I'm happily blaming you guys, but it is not your fault. I just prefer it. So let's see about this one. I think that might work nicely coming down there. Yes, and that tells me that I might want to come quite high there. Don't you fall down. So I'll just put a little tiny bit of masking tape at the very top of one little bit, just to hold it there till I can get it started with the texture paste. Now, so these ones have all been arcing over this way. I think right now I'm going to swap, and I'm going to make them arc over the other way. And I'm not afraid of going very high there. Stay. And I actually want, I think, another one of those in there. I want that downward arc there. So I'm very much manipulating so that my so that the movement, the rhythm is working for me. There, maybe over a bit more. That looks pretty good to me. There will be another layer here. There will be other layers in here. I've got one left. Do I want it in there? I don't think I want it down there. I think I might want it there, so I'll just move that to down here so I can get in there with the tape. Now, it's pretty important to, if you do have multiple stencils or you're just using multiple stencils, it's pretty important to remember which ones you put down first, because they generally need to come off last. Because if you try and get off something that's underneath another stencil, you're going to make a great big mess. All right, do I like that? Yes, I do. What I have here is my tub of pre-mixed toast grey. So this is roughly half gesso and half texture paste. I want the gesso for the whiteness. I want the texture paste because it maintains its volume as it dries, and it makes it thicker, so it's better for stenciling. Anything too runny is just going to run under your stencils. It's never the answer. That has been coloured with what I call Mother of Toast to make toast grey. It's called that because the artist Sebastian Toast told me about it, and it is a mix of 3 parts French ultramarine and 1 part burnt sienna. Okay, toast grey. I have it mixed up all the time because I use it so constantly. I'll say, look at my bucket of matcha. Yum. I do love a big mug. All right, let's get out some of this. Oh, I hope I've got enough. Now I'm going to use my biggest knife for this. Just because it will force me to make bigger, smoother marks. It will stop me faffing around with the tip of it. Now, all this yummy stuff up here, that's going to be lost. And that's sad, but too bad. Can't be helped. So I'm just trying to work out as much as I can, because if I was to bring my knife back this way, I would catch on the edges of all the stencils, and that would not ever be the right answer. I'm just going careful. I mucked that bit up, never mind. Kind of trying to glue the stencils down a little bit, just put enough texture paste there to hold them so I can get out all these little helper bits. Because there are many times I've just texture pasted over the top of those little things, and that is also never the right answer. Don't you move. Now, I've spoken before about if I'm going to use a lot of masking tape, I will protect this layer with binder medium. And it's in the forest workshop and it's in the Australian flowers workshop as well. This is not a lot of masking tape. This is a little bit and it'll be fine. And also, I'm not getting it wet at any point. If I was using stencils to put texture paste on and then lift the stencils out and there was still masking tape there because I had defined the trunks of trees, for instance, when I started lifting that tape, it would be quite likely to lift the paint underneath it. So for forest ones, I often bind a medium. I haven't done any forests for a while, and I expect that I really will be coming up with some new solutions to some of the issues. Now I'm just trying to make this edge ragged, come down with a broken edge. I don't want this big straight line in it for sure. More texture paste. Okay, we're coming all the way across there. We need to come all the way up here. Now, the fact that I have only just enough texture paste has been influencing the way I use it. It's been making me go back over areas to get the big chunks off to use them again. I think it would be far more sensible if I had just gone, wow, I don't think I have enough, and if I had mixed some more, so that I didn't have that anxiety changing my behaviour. But I think I've got away with it this time. We won't know till we lift these stencils and see the magic that is just underneath. Okay, so I started to put them on. This was the last one on, and no, it wasn't. This one was. This one on top. So move the... Oh my goodness, I love it so much. This always just feels like such magic. Okay, I have my stencils on a clean, well, cleanish palette, so that I can just lightly retrieve that texture paste. And this one too. And then I will peel these off of here and get them underwater in my tray. You never want to let texture paste dry on your stencils. Stencils are precious and they will last for hundreds and hundreds of uses if you look after them properly. Particularly now Marissa is making us the beautiful, more robust ones. So then again, take the texture paste off there and put it back down, ready for the next one. Isn't it exciting? Next, now that one's on top. Look at these beautiful kangaroo paws. And the last stencil. All right, so always after stenciling, the first bit, there's always some edges that we've got to correct. So what I have here is a silicone tool. It's a Montmartre paint and sculpt, and it's very useful for taking paint off. So there's a couple bits here where I mucked up, where the texture paste went under the stencil. So I'm just going to use that to restate those bits. I'm sure I saw another one somewhere. Ha, there it is. All right, now I need a smaller blade. I do love this little one. This is an Art Spectrum palette knife, and it is number 1027. And I like the fatness of the blade and the shortness of the blade. I find it really useful. But also they're about $11 each to buy. So I look after it carefully. I never put it down dirty, and I never let it soak in a bucket of water, because that will eat the coating off the blade and make it go rusty. All right, now here's a bit of hard edge stuff going on, so I'm just going to soften it. And there's a bit of hard edge, so again, just soften it. I'm looking for anything at all that's jarring. So this little line across here, that's probably from the edge of the stencil. Looks pretty nice. I think I need my silicone tool again. I managed to paint over the end of that stalk. Beautiful. Okay, so that is negative painting at its purest. I know I'm going to come in with another layer of white stuff up here, so I'm going to reuse these same negative stencils and go there at the top, but this will have to be dry. That is why I'm not going to bother bringing the grey around the edges there, because it will be covered up by the white, and so we don't need that. Down here I'll probably end up adding some grey, but I don't know yet how far down it's going to go, so I'm just hedging my bets. There's a little bit of dry paint in there. Was a little bit of dried gesso. Now I If you've watched the forest video, you would know that I would use this like gesso soup, and while it was wet I would lay it down and spatter some very dilute colour across it and then spray it with the water bottle to develop this. And that works very, very well for things where the stencil is kind of chunky and big, but where you have a lot of fine stuff, you will find that it softens the texture paste down and it causes your stenciled lines to become a little bit blurry. Sometimes that's what you want. If it's off in the distance, as it is with forest paintings, you want that blurriness. I do not want it here. I want these really crisp coming out, and so I will let it dry. I will almost certainly develop that grey with some glazes later, but I'll do it when it's dry and it's set and it's safe. And I don't have any worries about corrupting the marks too much. These big marks from your palette knife out here, make them, so come back in and make them work with your rhythm. So my rhythm is here, and then it gets more straight, and then it starts going over that way. And so I want to just make sure, one, that I haven't left out any holes in it, and that these marks just follow my rhythm. Okay, it's looking pretty good. I love the magic of negative painting. It is so fun and so surprising. And let me just bring you in for a bit of a close look. See how nicely all the colours just glow through that neutral grey. And it doesn't matter that we lost some of the colour rub. It's annoying. What's in the way? Oh, it's my easel. Aren't they just beyond beautiful? What we have is the start of some distance, and we have some negative flowers and foliage there. We will come in with these same negative stencils in another layer back and make it white back there, so we go back in 2 layers. But before we do that, I want to start developing this area. So what we have to be careful of is making things stand out enough. So we have a very, very busy ground here, and if we try and put some red and green positive kangaroo paws on this red and green ground, they're pretty much going to disappear. So we don't want to do that. We want to create first a little bit of buffer in there to separate the different areas of the painting. And what I have are these other ones of the kangaroo paw set, and that's what I'll use. All right, let's get these gorgeous stencils out. I am so loving the new stencils from Marissa. They are so sturdy. I'm going to be able to not use my crappy old ones. I'm going to be able to throw some out, and I think that's very exciting. And before you put your hand up for them, no, they are rubbish. They are worn to beyond being usable. All right, so there's a couple of things I don't want. I don't want to flatten out this arch too much. I want to keep it a bit random, and I don't want to leave a gap between what's going on here and what's going to be going on here. So I will allow these new stencils to overlap a little bit, like up into there kind of thing. So I'm just going to play around with some tape. Yes, there it is. I am so picky about where my stencils go. I will adjust things for stupid amounts of time, just to make sure they're exactly where I want them. Okay, so this is a big dominant shape, and I will do it in toast grey, so it will bring some of the greyness down. I think this is probably the hardest one to place correctly. So I think it goes there. It's not on top of any of the grey. I just like it there. So much of this is all about taste, isn't it? I don't know if there's a reason I feel that looks right. I don't know. I mean, I'm the person who used to organise piles of pumpkins into beautiful displays because I thought they looked right. Now this one, I feel this is too small to go up here in this layer of the landscape. I think it will be better down there, so I'm putting that one away again right now. And what do I want here? Do you see I'm turning it as I move from side to side because I want it to come away from our focus area. So away this way and away that way. I don't want it ever over here pointing in to my focus area. I think I'm just going to put that there. I like those placements. I'm just going to go with that for now. I only need to solve one problem at a time. So let's get out a little bit of toast grey, not toast, although it is early. I haven't had toast yet. Now if you've forgotten, toast grey is 3 parts ultramarine, French ultramarine blue, 1 part burnt sienna. Mix that together, that makes a black, and put that in white until you get the kind of grey that you want. And it's a lovely violety grey. Okay, let's get this on here. Can we all just admire that palette knife stroke, please? Look at that. One stroke, and I've done most of it. Missed a tiny bit there, missed a tiny bit there. Okay, so I've got those there. Where else do I want them? I think I might want them down here. So I don't want it to look too stencily. So I don't want it to be at the same angle. I think I might just come in right there with it. A little swipe of texture paste to stick it to my canvas. Yes, I like that. Now I do want another one poking up there. Am I game? Yeah, it's pretty clean on the back. It's just got a bit of goop on the side there. I think it's a kind of a game I play with myself. How many uses can I get away with before I get a horrible impression of my stencil? Now, if I don't think I want that. Oh, I think I want it straight up there. Let's go there. Yes. It's hard to get beautiful greens. That tube of sap green is not my friend. I do not like it. We do not get along. I have it. I've probably had the same tube for upwards of 5 years. I use so little of it. There's times I do need a little bit of it, but it's rare. The greens I do like, I like olive green, I like permanent green light in moderation, and I like Australian yellow green. I like those. Phthalo green, I like phthalo green. I like green black. So I like plenty of greens. Sap is not one of them. So what I want here is the kind of greyed off turquoisey green that is so much part of the Australian landscape. And so I think what I'm going to do is try for a range of greens. So what have I got? What have I got in my green sludge pot? I've got a whole bunch of yellow. Let's see what comes out when I spoon some of it out. Can you see? No, you can't. Let's come over here so you can see my work table in all its glory. So if you're new here, you may not have met my sludge pot just yet, but it's all the scraps or everything that's left over when I mix up a colour I save because it's very useful. So I'm going to see what I can dig out of here. Now I want to disturb it as little as possible, and I'm trying to get past that big wad of yellow on the top because it is actually quite green underneath. Okay, let's stop there for the minute. Okay, so that's what my palette looks like at the moment, and that's all those lovely colours that have come on out of my sludge pot. Now I'm going to slice off some of that texture paste. And do that with it. Do you enjoy the way I don't finish my sentences for like 30 seconds? Is it fun or is it really annoying? I keep trying to not do it. Oh, look at that. Yes! Okay, now where else do I want some leaves? I'm feeling like I want some up very high up there. It is hard to stencil over existing texture. You have to have enough goop on the blade but you can do it with enough practice. Oh, I do like that. Now, where else do I want to go? I don't want to disrupt that. And I want some here. I'm concerned though that I'm cookie cuttering. If I come in over here as well, they'll be about the same distance. So if I come in there, and maybe I'll make 2 there. And that will just help oppose the symmetry, because symmetry is not our friend. Okay, let's go in there. And I'll change the angle a bit more. Oh, I've got a ghost of a seed pod over here from the back of the stencil. I don't care about that. I don't mind about it. It's fine. Come in there. Okay. See how having the two of them there stops with the symmetry being a problem. Okay, that's cool. Just going to scrape this off to retrieve that texture paste. It's looking pretty cool. I do love the way those colours are striated. So look at how, where are we? There we are. See how the colours have got different things going on because I got it out of the sludge pot. There is some new kangaroo paws up on, what's it called now? artstencilco.com, because Marissa asked me for some more because I was using more, and it never occurred to me to offer you the different versions that I was using. So you now have access to them. There's one that's fine, which I don't actually have. I'm keen for my one. And there's one that's like, this one's got long stems. This one's much larger and more in a landscape format. So there's different options there now for you. And you can thank Marissa for making me do that, because it was mean. I didn't even think about it, but it was mean showing you a thing that then you don't have. Okay, so where do I want to go with this? Oh, I quite like that. It's okay if they go a bit off the edge of the canvas. I have literally nowhere to tape that. That won't give me a pain in the neck. I'll just do a little tiny bit of tape that I can easily take off. That stencil's still a bit wet from being washed, that's why it's sticking. But it's not a strategy I recommend. I'm just rushing a bit now because we're running out of time and I have to be ready for Maastricht in half an hour. So I'm not going to do this in a great big hurry. I'm going to wait, but this is the plan, that I will come in and create the next layer back. I'm already thinking that one's a bit big there and I might change my mind, and I will almost certainly do some of this stencil back there as well. But I need some time to think about that to do a good job, so that's what I'm going to do. Give myself time, go and make that piece of toast I've been thinking about. And for those of you who are with me on Maastricht, I shall look forward very much to seeing you there very shortly. Okay, thanks everybody. See you next week. So one of the ways you can show distance is what they call atmospheric perspective. So that just means that there's atmospheric dust or mist, some kind of stuff happening between your eyes and the things you're looking at away in the distance. That's why mountains look misty, is because there's mist and stuff in the distance. There's, yeah, all of that. Sometimes it's just dust. It's why sunsets are orange and make everything orange, because there's dust in the air. It's a very interesting phenomenon. So what I have is this corner. Now, if you've been following along and not left enough of a corner, this is where you're going to find out that you haven't left enough of a corner. Doesn't matter. I don't always go back another step. You don't have to either. If you have no room, you have no room. So I want the negative kangaroo paw stencils. Now I've got these ones heading off that way. Do I want to change it? I've not done that before. No, I think that'll just be confusing and look a bit shit. We don't want things that look terrible, do we? We want things that look amazing. So I'm going to come in right there. Hang on, if I come in there, then I won't lose that little bit of yumminess there. So a little tiny bit just to hold it at the top till I can get it stuck down with some texture paste. Why is that sitting out so much? I guess it just is. Now, do I want some of this as well? Oh, I think I might. Do I want that? Do I want that? Oh, I think I might want that. It's always good to flip your stencils around and just make sure you're using it the way around that gives you the best possible result. I'm sure you already know how totally picky I am about where I put my stencils. I will change things a lot. So if that's there, now this one here, that's a bit different. So I think I might just want white coming down here, but I might try and line up that stencil and protect. No, it's not that one. Which one is it? Which stencil is it? I have too many. I had such a moment of panic then. I walked away to get the stencil and thought, oh, will my microphone cord reach? And then there was no microphone, and I forgot for a little second that I have a new rig now and I'm not tethered to the camera anymore. I have this little free roaming kit on. But oh my God, for a moment there I was, oh, have I just been speaking into the void and no one can hear me? It's fine. Okay, is this the stencil? That's not the stencil either. Is it that one? No, that one doesn't look big enough. Is it this one? So I'm trying to find exactly the stencil that I used before. Ah, there it is. That's it. So I can protect the area in there. So this is colour rub behind, and I want to go white rather than grey in there. So I'm just making sure that this is protected. Because it's impossible to go around that shape neatly is very difficult and would also take me forever. I am not an artist who has forever to play with paint. I'm impatient. I think this is why being loose is quite easy for me these days. It wasn't always, it is now, because I'm impatient, just that. So if that's all heading off that way, the white's going to come down. Can I kind of overlap maybe that one? So I didn't like this one because it has that edge, and that would have made it really difficult for me in there, whereas on this one the edge is gone. And I think I just want that top bit. Do I? Yes, I think I do. And I think I want to come down there. All right, let's call that good for the moment. Do I want to just come in here though and protect that part of this, of what's going on? So same as I did down in that corner, I'm just lining it up exactly with what happened before. But it doesn't particularly want to line up. Where can I stick that down? There, maybe. I mean, it's not lining up very nicely. There's some texture underneath and it's pushing me out of the way. You know what? It's just going to have to do. All right, so white. I'll be using my half and half gesso, half texture paste. Gesso for the whiteness, texture paste for the impasto, the raisedness of the finished dried paint. Raisedness, of course, being an official art word. I want a giant knife. And just to look at where I'm headed, I don't know about this. I'm having second thoughts, people, about that white coming all the way in there. I don't think I want that anymore. So will I just, yeah, I'll do that as well. I think it would be too solid and it would compositionally just bring my eye around there, and I kind of want it to flow. So I'll just think I would like that. Much happier. Okay, giant knife. Now I don't want to get rid of any of the pretty stuff underneath. So my first trick is just to swipe some texture paste over all of these stencils so that I can take off these little top bits that are keeping it on there while I'm working, stopping it falling down. There's not much holding this one in place yet. Oh, but I don't think that matters because, yes, it does. All right, I think I'm okay to take these little boops off. Nothing's fallen apart yet. Winning. So all the way out to the edge. trying to only go on grey and not go on multicoloured bits. Okay, all my marks are out here are helping me rather than hindering, so they're bringing the energy out. I'm not worried about this edge yet, it's just white, so that's very easy to fix later. And I want that edge to remain loose. Okay, goodness me. Now I just knocked a palette off the shelf into my pile of wet texture paste. Awesome. All right, this one was last on, so it needs to be first off. A gentle scrape and under the water. Then this one. Now, what's on top here? This one, this was the last one over here. Whoa, look at those. Aren't they nice? Who's next? You. That worked very well to protect that area there. I'll zoom on in and show you that in a second. And you're on top. And lucky last, Ta-da! Oh my, look at that. Well, that's looking pretty wonderful, I'd say. So there's a few, what have I got all over there? Oh, there's some hot glue on that palette. No wonder it's chunky. Must have had a crafternoon with this one at some point. So there's a few things that need my attention. This harsh edge right here, I am not a fan. So I want to just take that down and just soften it. Give it some more little marks close to it. And perhaps here too. Just to keep the illusion of those stems coming down further. I don't like that harsh edge either. And here's another one. So the stencils won't do everything for you. You have to always come back in and just check what you've achieved and what ugly or disruptive marks might have been left behind in the process. Okay, that's beautiful. So, do I want any of this distance over in that other corner? I don't think so. Can you see that corner? Yes. I don't think I really have room to do that. And if I choose to, I can introduce another white element there. If I decide, once I have more things in place here, I can decide if I actually need to bring the white over there or not. But I think here and then in my focus area, in my hero spot here, I think that'll be probably enough. I don't know. Let's suck it and see, because sometimes it's a lollipop and sometimes it's a pickle. Honestly, I think I need a t-shirt with that on. I think that's going to be a thing. All right, so now we have to think about the placement. So now we have to think about the placement of some positive kangaroo paws. Now, I think what I'm going to want is a whole row of them marching across there. And I think perhaps I need to unify my background a little bit in that area first, because this is very figured and the flowers are quite open. So maybe they'll get a bit lost there, and I don't want that. So yeah, I think perhaps I need to so the flowers themselves are red and green and yellow. That's what I'll be putting on top. So I don't want to use those same colours to unify this background. I want to go somewhere else, because the point is to make the flowers stand out. Now, if red is the main colour, I want to look across my colour wheel and go with green. And I'm looking at this phthalo green thinking, I can have some of that, thank you. So let's have some phthalo green and some glaze medium. And I just want to unify that middle bit a little. So a fan brush, some phthalo green, and some glaze medium. And if you leave the lid open on your paint, on your glaze, it will just be blocked. Do as I say, not what I do. All right, a little bit of phthalo green into that glaze medium. Is my pebble within reach? Yes. Because I might want that to modify the marks that I'm about to make. So the goal is unifying here and creating some lovely contrast for the red flowers that are going to go in top. The red and yellow and lime green flowers, they're never, I don't think they're ever this kind of blue green. They may be. Talking about Australian flowers here, they are all kinds of everything. Okay, look at that big blob. Do we want a big blob of green? No, we don't. We want to keep the energy. So I'm going to come down and pebble through that. And I'm going to bring some over here as well. Don't like you. Off you go. Now the grey's dry. Okay, I'm not in danger territory here. And I think a little bit more into that other corner. So let's go a little bit there. Don't you fall off the easel. I think that's given me a much better basis behind to bring some flowers across the top there. It's much more unified. I think that one's potentially just needs its end tucked in a little bit, just so the contrast is not so great. Yeah, that's better. And while I'm at it, let's just tuck that one in a little bit as well. Okay, so that will have to dry so that I can get positive stenciling next week with some flowers marching across the front there. They are yellow and red and green. Now, we might be tempted, mightn't we, to actually texture paste them in those colours because that's what we're aiming for. However, super tricky with a stencil to try and get them to do the thing that they do, which is they'll be one colour on the end of the little are they petals? I don't know, those weird pokey bits that stick out. Those. That's enough out of all of you. Thank you. Get your minds out of the gutters. There may be red on the tip or green on the tip, and then they go red and then they go yellow. The colour is varied along the length of it. So what's going to work better for us is to just do them all yellow to start with, and then to glaze the colours in, because if we've got yellow underneath, we can put green on top to make it go green. That won't matter. The yellow will modify it. So if we want to end up with lime green, we might actually glaze with phthalo green over the yellow to end up with a lime. So that's good. With the red, same thing. Yellow underneath, it'll make it a bit more orangey. So if we want it less so, we can go with quinacridone magenta, a very cool red rather than a warm orangey red. So we can make it work with just yellow, but we don't want to be boring. So we're going to have two different yellows to just make sure it's, I don't know, just a bit more varied and a bit more interesting. Hey, this is very good. I can see you all there and I can talk to you here. I like it very much. All right, so what I'm going to do is two yellows. I'm going to have a transparent yellow, which is kind of a mid-yellow. It's neither cool nor warm. This one, Indian yellow, is a warm yellow. And when I call it warm, I'm telling you that it has a bit of red in it. So the cooler a colour is, the more it leans towards blue. The warmer it is, the more it leans towards red. So I have here my half and half. Half gesso, half texture paste. And I'm going to make one of these transparent yellow and one of them Indian yellow. And I want the colour fairly intense. I don't want it pastel. Yeah, the way I said pastel then. I'm sorry, I don't hate all pastels. It sounded like I did. Every colour has its place. Even the ones I don't much like Mission Brown and Sap Green. I was asked recently why I dislike sap green so intensely. I don't really have a good answer. It's kind of chemically, and it's so aware that it's paint. It never looks like anything natural. It just always looks like paint to me. All right, so I have transparent yellow. Doesn't matter that my knife is dirty going into the Indian yellow. All right, now we have some placement to do. So I want, oh, this is so cool. Good morning, Beverly. Good morning, Pat. This is so much easier being able to see you right there. That's awesome. Love it when I have a technology win. Doesn't happen very often. I discovered just the other day, at great expense because I had to get help to figure it out. I had to pay for help. You know, if you have a desktop computer and it has a USB port on the front, don't trust that little sucker because it doesn't have much capacity. So what I had done is I had plugged in a 4-port USB hub into my front one, and it was making my computer be very, very unwell and unhappy. And it was because there just wasn't enough grunt. And I did exactly the same thing into one of the back ones on the back of the computer, and it does everything I want just fine. But I thought my computer was dying. I thought I was looking at a $1,000 graphics card to sort that out, but it was just me being a bit of a twit, not understanding that I couldn't actually plug stuff in there very well. So yeah. Oh, Cindy's joined us. Good morning, Cindy. Okay, now I've got things growing off that way and things growing off that way. I can keep going like that, or I can oppose it. And I will generally try out both. Yeah, definitely that way. So just going to make sure there's no big pokey bits on here, because they will hold my stencil up and stop me getting a nice clean print. I like that. I very much like the new stencils from Marissa. That little bit more sturdiness in the mylar, my goodness, it makes a difference. I love it. This one, I think I want up there. Yep, that works. And I have more of the same, because apparently I'm a greedy guts when it comes to more stencils. They're going to go in there, but I need to get that sorted first because that stencil is in the way. All right, so let's just do those two. So you want a big knife. I want to pick up from each of these piles alternately. Sometimes I'll pick up from both of them at the same time. It's not important, it doesn't matter. Now I don't want to go down there because there's a Banksia pod just there, and I don't particularly want the stem to just kind of randomly come in front of it. So there's one. There'll be another one. Can I come in here yet? No, that's annoying. This poor stencil is so broken. I've learned an awful lot about making stencils since I did these first ones, and the new version that Marissa has all of these problems solved, thank goodness. But this one's just a bit broken. Oh no, look what's happened there. Okay, I think there might have to be some fixing that goes on here. I think I need to throw this stencil in the bin. Why don't I just get myself some new ones too? Yeah, look at that. That's all yucky in the middle there. That's all right, we can fix it. Look at the poor thing. Is broken. Dear. All right. I'm going to just scrape the texture paste off it, and then it's going in the bin. Proof, in the bin. I didn't realise quite how broken it was. So to fix that mistake there, what I need is a silicone tool. And that's not where they are. There they are. Okay, so these guys, this is a Montmartre paint and sculpt tool. These are about $15 for a packet of 5, and they seem to last more or less forever. So in here, I need to come in and lift that texture paste that got in the wrong spots because the stencil broke basically. That's better. Okay, so the yellow is good. I like the way it's helping my focus. Now, are any of these not tragically broken? That's probably the best one. Okay. I know I want one over there. So just do it. Just do it. Stop faffing about. So I think I would like it right there. And my canvas has to sit forward on my easel because otherwise the front of the easel will prevent the stencil sitting down nicely. I'm going to go all with the warmer yellow here because a warmer colour comes forward more. And so by making this one warmer to start with, there's a bit I missed, it'll just help me later. Oh, there's so many bits I missed. I missed that bit and I missed that bit. Not the world's neatest or best stencil. Right there. That's me being the cautionary tale instead of the good example. More like it. Okay, so it's not bad. I very nearly cookie cutted there. I very nearly have that one right in the middle of those two, but I think it's okay. I think I'll get away with that. But I do think I probably want one here. Yeah, I do. I really, really do. This is so chunky. If you haven't got fingernails of steel like I do, you will find a nail clipper your friend for getting off these little pokey, pointy bits. I do think right there is the spot I'm after. Oh, look at that. I have no excuse for that great big mess. I just made a mess. Maybe I just should have gone to bed earlier last night. But I'm working on exciting things. And I'm sure you all know when you've got a big idea, it's really hard to just stop thinking about it and actually go to bed. Or is that just a me thing? Now here I have to be careful, because if I press too hard, I'll take the paint off underneath. And there's also all that wet texture paste everywhere. Okay, I'm happy with that. I've got a bit of a gap there, but I don't think it wants to be another kangaroo paw. I'm not, kind of could. I think I might stall on that decision, because I'm not sure. But see the ends of these flowers? I never like the way they end. And so with a clean finger, I just get in and soften. Oh, that was a dodgy one. Oh, no, they're all right. Okay, so it seems problematic, doesn't it, that they're just yellow, but it's okay. It's okay. It sorts itself out over time. Oh, I don't know. Symmetry is never your friend. And so I'm always trying to guard against kind of tidying things up, you know, making them balance perfectly. You don't want symmetry, you want balance. And if I put another one over there, I kind of like it. And the flowers are so intermingled. Can I manage to just do one of them? I don't know. I'm so indecisive today. It's not like me to be so indecisive. Oh, there it is. I got out one of our Temu stencils because I thought, oh yeah, see, that's going to solve my problem. I can come over here and repeat that yellow there, and that'll be nice. And then can I put it anywhere else that'll work for me? This area here keeps bothering me. And it bothers me because I can't kind of see what's happening in there, but that might just be because it needs a bit of glossing to find all my edges. There might be beautiful stuff in there, but I can't actually see it at the moment. And that's a problem, because I might make decisions based on the fact that I can't see it, I don't know what's there, and then regret it later. So this area, I think it's okay to leave it until these are dry, because the next thing that happens is going to be glossing, and that will find all my edges and show me what's in there that I can't really see at the moment. And that's one of the things glossing is so good for. If I put this over here, I think it's echoed well enough by the frilliness over here. I think. Yeah, I just want some yellow. How do you all feel about yellow? There's lots of people don't like it at all, as I've discovered. Oh, hello, Brenda's here from Arizona. Good morning, Brenda. It's very nice to have you here. Yeah, I just do want some yellow over here. I tried to talk myself out of it. I was not successful. Oh, good. That's very nice. So I will need to balance that maybe with some yellow glaze over here when I get around to that. Do I need some? No. Do I need some down here? I don't think there's another thing I can do while that is also wet. How annoying. Okay, so that, I mean, that just has to wait now. All right, so we are at a point where there's a whole bunch of stuff on here. I don't really know what's going to happen down here. I do know that I need to do some glossing to kind of bring it together, but I don't want to do that now at the start of our session because it'll mean I can't do any other thing to show you. So what we're going to do instead is I'm going to bring you in real close and we're going to work at how to sort these yellow flowers out because we don't want them to remain yellow. So I know it's going to shock everybody, but I'm using some sap green today. I never do. Good morning, Beth. Hiya, Joe. Yes, Lynn. Indeed, you are special. You are so special. We all love you. All right. Maggie's joined us. Oh, Maggie, I think you're from far away, aren't you? Do I remember correctly? I don't know. I used to, many moons ago, when I was a clay sculpture teacher, I used to go out to Charters Towers to teach the pottery group there some sculpture, and I used to stay with a Maggie Pollard. I don't think you're the same one because I think you're in the UK. Yeah. Oh, Leslie's joined us. Hello. And Dana, is it Dana? Is it Dana? I don't know. I don't know. How do you say that name? Jackie's here. Hello. All right. Some sap green. So, sorry, I'm getting so distracted by all my friends. It's so lovely. I want some green and some red to modify these yellows. So a little bit of sap green in a dish. It's always good if you remember to take the seal off your bottle of glaze first. And it's stuck in there. Okay. What am I going to do? I'm going to take the cap off this old bottle of glaze and put it on here because that annoying little thing that gets stuck in there, it's really hard to get out sometimes. So I've probably recycled this cap for, I don't know, close on a year. Oh, and it's clogged as well. And this is how you do it. Do you like it when I'm a cautionary tale instead of a good example? Who's here? Cheryl has joined us. Hello, Cheryl and Wendy. Oh, Marissa's here. Hi, Marissa. How you doing, you woman of 10,000 ideas? Marissa is doing the best possible job sorting out stencil availability and all the things that go with that, all the techno side that I've never been able to get on top of. Marissa has got it nailed. Also, she's great company. All right, Lynn, it keeps telling me you're here. Wendy, hello. All right, some glaze. I'm just trying to get a bit of glaze in a dish. You wouldn't think it would take me so long, would you? Okay. I have sap green, which I normally hate, but it's the right green for this. And I have some Naphthol red light. Remember, always glaze on the side of the dish. paint on the side of the dish, glaze in the bottom, because you want to be able to pull down only as much colour as you need. It just keeps saying Lynn Fairley is watching. I think we're up to about 12 times. It's all good, Lynn. It's nothing you're doing and it doesn't matter. I just think it's hilarious. Yes, Leslie, you're right. We do have some new stencils. So Marissa and I made an executive decision to release some of the more simple stencils that you don't necessarily need any of my techniques to use, because people use stencils for other things. They put designs on cakes, they put designs on furniture, there's all kinds of stuff goes on out there. And so some of the stencils that you don't need to understand so much as my techniques, we've released 9 of them, I think, as open access. Let's actually get into it. I want to bring you right in here. Now, what do I need to do? Bit tricky because I have a camera here and a screen over there that oh yeah, okay, that's where I want to be, right here. So this here is largely green behind, so I want to make sure I bring red on top of these edges. So I have some Naphthol Red Light, and I'm mixing it down with glaze, but it's a bit of a solid mix. I mostly use less colour in my glaze than that. And what I want to do is just dance it onto the tops there, and then use my finger to disappear it. So I'm creating this look. Now, it doesn't matter if I'm a bit messy at all, because this red will hardly be visible on that green by the time it dries. It will just sort of cancel it out. So I'll come through. Do you notice how often I'm reloading my brush? Because I want a nice full brush every time I come in. Now these ones are very close together, so I have no chance of getting my finger in there to sort that out. So wet rag to the rescue. Oh, Sandra says it keeps breaking up. Okay, I'm not getting that here. It's coming through really clean. I hope it's not a problem everyone is having. Okay, so I just took way too much off then. So I'll go in again. Now see how nicely that starts to develop. I am working where you can see me, right? Oh, right at the very top of the screen. Sorry, guys. That should be better. Sorry, humans. Okay, I like that one. I'm wondering, I think that one should be a slightly different colour to separate out the flower. So, and I think this one should be green to make it pop. So I'm going to make decisions not based on what colour the flowers actually are. I'm going to make decisions based on what's going to pop against the background that's right beside it. Oh, thanks, Leslie, for letting me know. Yeah, and Robin, it's clear here? Okay. It's probably something in Launceston, Sandra. I don't know. Technology. Okay, so same thing with the sap green. Oh, that's a very nice stroke. I think I'll leave that one alone. So I'm coming in and I'm pressing down and then flicking. And I'm using my little finger for support here where I can, or sometimes I'll come right round and lay my whole arm on the canvas. This is why it's important that things are dry sometimes before you keep on going. All right, I'm liking that. I want some orange, I think, here and here. So I have some transparent orange, transparent Perinoni orange. Super important that your colours are either transparent or semi-transparent. You look at that little empty circle. Well, I think I'm in focus there. That little empty circle on the label tells us. If it's an empty circle, it's transparent. If it's a full circle, it's opaque. And if it's a circle that's cut in half, it's a semi-transparent, which is fine for glazing. Oh, good on you, Marissa, giving us a link. Hey, Mundy. It's very nice that you could join us. I haven't seen Gay's name pop up yet. I hope she finds us. She's been getting her granddaughter, I think, to help her sort it out, because she's very, very new to technology and Facebook. Okay, here's some orange. Now, I'm already concerned that that's going to be the same colour. Is it? Yep, it's so close. So I'm going to add some yellow to it. I'm going to add some Indian yellow to it, because otherwise what's the point of using a different colour if we can't discern that the colour is different? It won't achieve the thing I want, which is to make this subtly different from that. All right, let's see how that goes. Who's discovered that yellow is such a fugitive colour? It disappears very quickly. So by that I mean in blends, when you're mixing it, that's better. You need a lot of yellow to achieve pretty much anything. There was a time at a workshop I was explaining to everybody that yellow was a fugitive colour, and a bit later on I prompted them to say, okay, so remember, what is yellow? And someone yelled out, it's a criminal! Oh, I love it. So now I've got a workable difference. It would help me if I had a different brush in each of these colours, because it would mean I didn't have to wash my brush every 2 seconds. Back to my sap green, because I think I want the bottoms of these ones to be green. Didn't have quite enough paint in my glaze, so it just hasn't made a dark enough mark for me. Okay, see how complex that's starting to be? I really like that. I love the complexity. And I'll pull that one down there. And then I think I'll make it yellow at the bottom, like Indian yellow. So I am, as you can tell, making stuff up again, because it's what I do. So a bit of Indian yellow in some glaze, and let's manipulate that yellow and bring it all the way up until I start picking up some green, and I kind of blend that in the middle. So you see how it's starting to happen, yeah? I hope it's making sense to everybody. Gay made it. Hello, Gay. You made it. Good morning. I'm so happy you got to the right place at the right time. That's awesome. Welcome. Okay, what have I got here? Some yellow. Where else do I want yellow? I kind of like that one's so bold. Let's put some yellow there. Some Indian yellow, which is a different yellow. Than what's underneath. Sorry, finish your sentences, Dee. Back to the red, naphthol red light. So I've got a whole lot of alizarin crimson in the background, and this naphthol red light is a nice contrast, I think. So let's have, see, I'm letting it flop over the edges. I'm not even trying to just keep it on the front of that texture paste, because it doesn't matter. As it dries, you just won't even see that. And let's have some more little red ones in here. So the yellow underneath is a great starting point. I very often stencil in just white or just yellow because it's such a great starting point for all the nuance that I want to bring in later on. So who was scared? Who was scared by the yellow? Because I totally understand that. Oh, Marie's joined us. Hello. And Lynn. Hello, beautiful people. I'm so happy you're here. All right, so we see that used to be a very, very plain bit, and now it's got all kinds of colour nuancing around in there. I am not going to bore you by doing all of that. So let me just, there was another bit I want, oh, here. Okay, am I in the right spot? I'm showing you something there. Okay. Look, oh, my camera cord is at full stretch now. So here, what we have here is just some kind of brown that has worked up. It's largely gold in there. I do need to make sure I have my pebble within reach. Where are you, pebbles? Not in the bottom of the bucket. There it is. Okay, so there's a lot of red here. Do I want to bring more red there? And that'll kind of unify it. I think let's try a bit of green up there. I'm not convinced that I want sap green. I think I'll try some Australian yellow green. All right, so a little bit of Australian yellow green in there. Now, see what happened there? Nothing. That's because I didn't have enough paint in my mix. I put it on and it didn't show up. I mean, it showed up, but not enough. Okay, so in again. Whoa, that's better. And this one too. And this one. And see how lovely that is. Can you see me if I come down here? No? Here? Yes. So just because these don't look great, the colour behind them is a bit yuck. So I'm just taking this opportunity to make them a little bit prettier. Okay, let's pull back. All right. So you can see what a difference that makes, yeah? How the nuancing is happening. It's taking it from the rawness of just texture paste, which I'm never ever a fan of, and turning it into something that's lyrical and beautiful. All right, so we can achieve more than this with glazing. All of that has to be done as well, but I want to just show you this question here. Can you see? Yes. So what I have at the moment is these flowers and these leaves behind are kind of sitting at the same level, and I want to be able to push those leaves back. So dark and cool colours push things back. I want to look at my canvas for permission for which dark and cool colours I can use. So Prussian blue is a dark and cool colour, but because it doesn't appear anywhere here on my canvas, I don't have permission to use it. So I need something either that I used, like green black. I think I used green. Yeah, there it is. I used some green black in this colour rub. That would be fine. I already have permission. Or I can look to one of the colours that has kind of made itself through the colour rub process. So I'm looking to see if I can find anything that's Payne's grey, and I can. A very, very dark bluish grey. There's some in there. So that gives me permission to use Payne's grey to push those leaves backwards. And I'm going to pebble glaze that. So Payne's grey, not Prussian blue, you're not invited. Now pebble glazing is just putting the glaze on, and pebbling it while it's wet. So a little bit of Payne's grey. I need a much bigger brush because I want to be generous here. I don't want to just dance a little bit onto the high parts of the stenciled texture. I want it to get right down in so that then when I pebble it, I'm pushing it off the high parts and leaving it in the lows. So a nice, oh, that's probably not big enough either. What about you? Yes, this one. I'm going to need some glaze in my dish. Oh, hello, Jenny's here from Cape Hillsborough. Where in the world is Cape Hillsborough, Jenny? I have absolutely no idea. So, some Payne's grey. I can already tell looking at that that's not enough in my dish, not enough paint in my glaze mix. And I know I'm going to need a fair bit because there's a lot of texture there and I'm trying to push down into it. So let's have a look. Yep, that looks scary, so that's appropriate then. So down here at the bottom, where I'm trying to tuck it behind those flowers, probably would have been smarter to do this first. Okay, so right down in there, it's chunky, and now it's getting pebbled, and that re-exposes the high points, stops it being super dark, but also tucks it behind. I think I'll go up there a bit more. Look at that beautiful green popping out from behind there. See how much that has developed the texture and pushed it behind the flowers. That's what I wanted. So pebble glazing does quite a few of the same things that glossing does, but it's a bit more controllable. Glossing can get a bit wild. Okay, now this same colour, Payne's Grey, I like what it's doing. I'm going to put it on the base of these Banksia pods. Now I might be tempted to do them all and then come back in with the pebble, but that's a silly idea because the glaze would be drying and I wouldn't have nearly the same power to manipulate it. Even if it sits for, I mean, what would it take me? Maybe 30 seconds to do those other ones, but they'd be drying the whole time and I don't want that. So get it on generously and then pebble it straight up. So what I'm doing is tucking in their bottoms. Instead of them just sitting straight, I'm letting them slant towards the viewer of the canvas. Am I painting where you can see me? So slop it on and drag it up. I love the way it develops the textured surface. Just a bit more on there and only a very gentle pebble, just because they were just sticking out in space a bit too much. Bit more for you, bit more for you. Do we all talk to our canvases when we're painting them? Or is that just me anthropomorphizing hopelessly? I'm over here. Yes, you can still see me. Oh, hello, Susan's here as well. Hi, Susan. I think you're from Cairns, aren't you? Somewhere up in far north Queensland, Cairns or Babinda, somewhere like that. How global we are these days, people. Isn't it wonderful? How amazing. I don't quite know what I did to please the YouTube gods, but the algorithm, whoever that is, has decided that what I'm putting up is popular enough that as soon as it goes up, they immediately start auto-dubbing it into 22 different languages. So I can now have the singularly strange experience of getting onto YouTube and I can watch myself speak in Korean and Russian and Hindi and Indonesian and all kinds of languages, 22 of them. And it astonishes me just how that happens these days. I love how accessible it makes it. I do feel sorry for the people who watch it and then want to do it, but they're in some far-flung place and they can't get the paints they need, or they just can't get what they need, or they'd really love to do it, but they'd love to do it with the flowers and leaves from their own country. So along those lines, Marissa's sister is a fabulous photographer and she's going to New Zealand, or does she live in New Zealand? No, I think she's going there. Going to photograph some stuff so I can do some New Zealand stencils. So I think that's going to be gorgeous because they have such beautiful ferns and things like that. So yeah, new inputs coming soon, people. How exciting, how global. All right. Multilingual D, I know. I mean, I have such a thick North Queensland accent, I can barely speak Australian, really. But here I am, speaking other languages. Who knew? I'm used to the sound of my accent now, but when I first heard it, I was, oh my goodness, girl, could you sound any more North Queensland? Could it be any thicker than what it is? I didn't even grow up there. All right, so see how that's starting to resolve so nicely. I think here too, I've run out of glaze, but I think I want to keep going with Payne's Grey down there. So always make sure it's well mixed. You don't want any chunky surprises in there. Can you see that corner? Just. I do very much enjoy how chatty everybody's being now. I think it's wonderful that I can see so quickly now. I don't have to leave the view and go around to the back of the phone to do that. I can see straight away. So yeah, this new setup pleases me immensely. Do I want that one? Probably not. I suspect it'll be too much. I don't want to think about it while I have the pressure of wet paint in my hand. So I'm just going to leave that one out for the minute until I make a decision based on standing a bit further away and having some time to think. Yay for Far North Queensland, Susan. Honestly, I'm going to put it out there and say, I do not miss the climate one small tiny iota. I've been in Brisbane for almost 17 years now. Do not miss being sweaty all day, every day for most of the year. Absolutely do not. Okay, so these guys here, these are going to take some more touching up because they're still just looking quite raw. So I can use glaze as I have been doing. Come back here where I can see you people. I can use glaze as I have been doing to adjust the colour temperature, so to lean it more towards darkness or lightness. I can use it to adjust the colour hue, so leaning it towards more green or more red. I've done all of those things already, but what I can't do with glaze is make things lighter. So with very rare exceptions, I don't use glaze if I'm lightening something. I need to lighten it a whole bunch with white paint, just plain old white paint, and then I need to glaze it back down to the appropriate colour. I have never found a way to lighten something a little bit that maintains the transparency that I want. And so a small brush, tiny little brush. This is a rigger brush. Well, I mean, this one's called a liner, but same thing. So it has a little round ferrule, the metal part, and it has long bristles. The length is important because if you don't have length in the bristles of your brush, so let's look at the comparison. Okay. Now these are both a similar size. See how the liner has the long bristles and the other regular brush just has hardly anything? This wee short one is going to run out of paint in very short order. It's not going to give me any kind of linear mark. So I'm going to always use the liner. Sometimes they're called riggers, or maybe that's an old-fashioned name now. They were so called because you could paint the rigging of a sailing ship with it. Honestly, if I had to paint the rigging of a sailing ship, kill me now. No. No. Okay, so I'm just doing a little line of white on the tops of some of these shapes. So I'm being guided very much by the stencil And I'm getting paint all over my little finger, which isn't great, because I should wait till it's dry, but I want to show you this. Now I will have several hours of this kind of precision to go. So what I might do is film that, but then speed it up, because ain't nobody got time. Now, do you notice that I'm focusing my attention more on these middle bits? So I want to reflect the notion that the cone is round this way. So this part in the middle needs to have some more light on it, because that's what will bring it forward towards us. So remember, light brings it forward, dark pushes it back. So more white lines in here as I develop this stencil. And less on the edges. And see how the difference between that one and the one beside it is enormous. And so that's what I have a lot of in my future, is the nuancing on the flowers themselves and on the pods. So by the time I've done all that, I think it'll be sitting pretty nicely, and maybe I won't need to gloss it at all. Maybe I can develop it enough with those things that I don't need to gloss it. Glossing might be a bit dangerous after I've done all of that, because it gets very wet, and perhaps some of that colour that I've added on might not like that very much. It might lift, might bubble up, things like that. So I could gloss it first, but I think I showed you that on the purple canvas project. So I think I'll take the trickier route this time. I don't want to just go in and gloss it, because you've seen that. You know how to do that. I want to show you this stuff, this more fine, more nuanced stuff. All right, so I've got a lot to do, and hopefully I'll have time to get all of that done between now and next week, because that way we'll be able to get moving on it with the final touches, which will be, it'll be something, and it'll be kind of there. That's as much as I know right now. So full of information, aren't I? All right, so without you, I'm sorry, I didn't film it. But all I did was the same as I had already done, and I worked with the same glaze colours and just finished up doing that on the flowers, and then I did the rest of the Banksia pods with a little line of white, which I showed you all last week. And I know you all can figure that out and follow. So nothing is just plain, untouched yellow texture paste anymore. Right, so now it's time to figure out what comes next. So what comes next is glossing. Glossing is a made-up word. I made it up because I needed something, I needed a word that described a cross between glazing and washing. So washing is what it sounds like. It's just water and paint. So just like you might wash your clothes, you might wash your canvas. You probably don't wash your clothes with paint in it, although I do all the time, because the paint comes off my clothes. Anyway, comes off, she says, like that happens. So washing is just water and paint on your canvas. And the trouble with that is that the paint has not much viscosity. It's very liquid, and it will just go wherever the heck it wants. It'll be informed a little bit by the textures on your canvas, but mainly it's anarchic. It'll just make up its own mind and do what it wants. This is not what happens on our canvases, because who's the boss? We're the bosses. So the fluidity is great, but the ability for it to take direction is not. It's like your standard 3-year-old, really. So we don't want to wash. We want what glaze does, in that we want to adjust the colour temperature and we want to adjust the tone. So we want to adjust the way the colour looks. If it's plain, if it's light yellow like this and we wanted to make it look orange, we put red across the top. So that's what we do with glazing. But glazing is just glaze and paint is not fluid enough to do what I want to do. What I want it to do is unify my canvas and cling to all those textured edges. And if you use a very dark colour, so if you use plain Payne's Grey, for instance, in your gouache, you would get a very lovely illustrative effect. So everything's kind of outlined on your canvas. So yeah, a really dark colour will give you kind of an outline, which can be very pleasing, but it's not what I want for this. The other thing it will do is it will unify things on the canvas. But to do that just with glaze, that would be a lot of work, and it would be a lot of glaze. It would require me to pay attention to every part of the canvas I'm dealing with. Ain't nobody got time for that. If I put some water in my glaze and paint mix, that, my friends, makes it a gouache. And it will go around your canvas and it will do the thing for you without you micromanaging every step. And that is part of what I love about my methods of painting, is that I don't have to micromanage it, and I therefore, beautiful accidents happen on my canvases, and I love that so much. So how many of us struggle with being tight and controlled on our canvases? I'm going to say pretty much all of us, because we're all taught to colour between the lines, and it takes us the rest of our lives to get over that. This is part of how you get over that. So don't be afraid of it. I've had some comments before about gouaching. People are terrified. It's paint, my loves. It's just paint. We're the boss of it. If we put it on and we hate it, do you know what? We can take it off. We can paint over it. We can learn from that experience, and maybe, you know, maybe we've gone too light and we have to do it again because it didn't really have the impact we wanted. Maybe we did it too dark and we've ruined the whole canvas, and we'll have to do a big gesso paint over and start again. Don't worry about it. It's part, you're here to learn to paint better. You're here to experiment and to use your paint up and to have fun. And just don't be afraid of your outcomes, because they all teach you stuff. All of it. I can't even begin to tell you how many thousands of decisions go into making every single painting. It's okay. Be brave. You're going to make some bad decisions. It goes with the territory. It's fine. Having been extraordinarily long-winded as usual, shut up, Dee, I hear somebody say. We have to sort out what colours we're going to gouache with. So, the light colours, no good. Definitely not ever white. Just no. The opaque colours also, no. No opaque colours at all. A semi-transparent is fine, but a fully transparent is better. All right. So, what am I going to do? I'm looking at this. I know, and I only learned this morning, what I want to do here. Bit late. So, yeah, I walked into the studio this morning and thought, I know what it's going to need. So what I'm planning here is, so all of these kangaroo paws are heading off in this direction. I want to do some bright, bright red ones, as bright as I can get them here. So I'm going to get in there with those. but I don't want to do it now because they would be wet. And if they are wet and I gloss on top of them, that starts giving me something much closer to what I call gesso soup, which is another made up word. If you spatter colour, wet colour, over texture paste that is wet, or a mix of gesso and texture paste that is wet, it will soften all your forms down. So it'll take a very long time to dry, probably 24 hours. And all the forms that you have stenciled on there, so all of the detail will tend to soften and close up. And that can be absolutely beautiful, but it's not what I want here. I want crisp forms here. So if I put these red flowers, and I think I might put this here as well to bring it, because it's only there and it's annoying me a bit. So I think I might pop one of those, yeah, probably down there, and then some red kangaroo paws there. But I can't do it right now because I want to show you the glossing. There's no reason I couldn't put them in, let them dry, and then do the glossing, but you know, we have half an hour. And then I get to play with my Mastrius people, and do you know what we're doing today? We are colour rubbing the mixed media canvas that we're working on. So we've built up a whole lot of collage, and I'm going to do a colour rub on top, and then they're going to do their colour rubs, and that's going to be ever so exciting. I've been looking through my list of colours, looking through my rack, which is an old greeting card rack, and none of it feels correct. And so that tells me some things, doesn't it? That tells me that it's going to be complex. I am so picky about what colour I choose to gloss with because it's going to alter the whole mood of the painting. So I've figured out if I'm going to go red here, I want green to contrast with it, and that's fine. This is already green. If I'm going red here, I probably don't want to go red all the way out here too, because it would be too much. It would unbalance the canvas. I think what I want to do is look to this area for permission for what I can use. So what I'm seeing in here is an olivey green, but it's a bit greener than plain old olive. So I'm going to mix some olive green and some permanent green light together for one of my glosses. That's kind of a mid. It's not really dark. I know I want something dark as well because I always do. I think it finds my edges nicely, and I love that illustrative quality. And so I'm looking around in here and I'm seeing it's quite bluish in places. So I'm going to go with a mix of phthalo green, which I can also see in here, and Payne's grey. So I've looked in here for permission for what I'm going to do. So I need 2 big fan brushes. I think so. You can't see my head. Is that a problem? I don't know. You see an awful lot of my head in general. Okay, so I want an open tube of olive green. That's what I want. Tell me what I want, what I really, really want. Now, not a huge canvas, so I don't need huge amounts of paint. I swear, I can feel you all thinking, it'd be huge for me, Dee. So, got my 2 colours here. What I'm going to do is use my brush and paint the bottom of that dish, because that way I'm not chasing a lump of paint around the bottom of the dish. Before I put some water in, and then mix that in, because the thing I really, really don't want, why have I got the Spice Girls in my head today? What's going on? I don't want lumps. So that's what I've got. This is a bowl of wash, so it's just paint and water. And then I'm going to get my glaze medium. Can you all see that? Yes. And give it a good 2 squirts. All right. Let's come back there. That's better. So I need to mix it really well. Want to make sure there's no lumps in it. And I just want to check that I achieved the colour that I wanted. And yeah, that's very harmonious with what's on the canvas. Now, same story, but this time with phthalo green and Payne's grey. So again, it's about a broad bean of paint, a kidney bean. No, kidney bean's a little. A cannelloni bean. It's about a cannelloni white bean of paint and a little bit less of Payne's grey. That's maybe a green pea. Get your legumes into you, people. The fiber's great for you. Oh, am I in a mood? I feel a bit silly today. Now that to me isn't feeling dark enough. So I was a bit miserly with my Payne's grey. Yeah, that's better. And some water. Now I know someone's going to ask me, but how much water? And I mean, what is it? It's probably about a centimetre deep in there. Very much. I don't know. I do it by eye. I'm thinking, I'm looking at that colour that I have there. You can't see it, sorry. Up here, that's not awkward. I'm looking at that colour and I don't think it's quite right for this canvas. I think it's too green. I think it's too clean. I think I want to put a bit of green black into it. Just doesn't quite feel right for that canvas. That's better. All right, so now it's a rich dark green and it's got lumps in it because there was already stuff in the bowl and I couldn't do my paint the bottom of the bowl trick. So I have to be really careful with this one. There is more to the story. So I'll use my brush like a little sieve to push through there and make sure there is no lumps. There is no lumps? There are no lumps. There are no lumps. All right, so I need to make sure I don't forget 2 big squirts of glaze medium in there because it would just be a wash and it wouldn't do what I'm asking it to do. All right, so I have my 2 bowls of gouache and there's no lumps and I'm happy with the colours and I've checked that the colours feel right to me on this. I have my trusty old spray bottle which is full, ready to roll. I have some wet rags in case I muck it up completely and need to take paint off, and I think I'm good to go. And important, I have a flat surface ready to receive the painting. So what I want to do is spatter my colour onto the canvas, and I want to be generous. So I'm going to come in here and I want the green to develop out here but I don't want to get rid of the redness of those flowers. So here, hang on, I want my spray bottle right here, because as soon as the paint hits the surface, it starts drying, and if it dries too much, you're going to get unpleasant little circles around each dot of paint as it starts to dry. All right, so in there. Now I'm not throwing it very hard because everything here is dry. Doesn't matter how hard I throw it, I'm not going to make a dent in anything. And then straight away oh, so pretty. So pretty. Now I think I want some of this over this side as well. Okay, that's looking good. I think it's looking a bit all the same colour, but that's all right for the moment. I want some in there and down there, and this time I'm going to modify that by allowing just some little bits of this in there. I suspect I have mixed up way too much of this, but we'll find out. Oh, that's so pretty. All right, come in here. Let me take that bizzo out. Yes. Okay. And let me disentangle it from the leg of the tripod. All right, look at how these colours are interacting. So see where you get a little bit. There's only two colours interacting, but the colours that are underneath are making it react in different ways. Look at that. Is that not absolutely gorgeous? All right, so I'm not there yet. Now I'm a little concerned with the greenness of this colour, but I'm going to really make sure I find these textured leaves by heavily spattering on there and in there. And I really want to, oh, there's some more. I really want to lose the bottoms of these flowers too. So at the bottom of every cluster of kangaroo paws, they're going to get that treatment as well. And the bottom of every pod, every Banksia pod. Oh, I love it so much. Now, again, and I'm starting to be a bit more careful about the water now because I don't want to flood everything. If you flood it, you'll just have so much water, it'll just fall off the edges of the canvas. Oh, look at that gorgeous depth. Yes, winning. I'm starting to get some paint is running off this top edge here, so I'm just going to use this little bit of wood to just lift that edge a bit and see if it'll push back for me and stop running off this edge. All right. Oh, that's gorgeous. All right, are there any bits I've missed? There's probably a few bits where I'd quite like some red to come through, and it's currently not. So with a wet rag, I'm going to just blot in a couple of those places where I know that there's red behind. I can kind of see it peeping through, but also it's a bit lost. I think what's happened now is I have this lovely deep backdrop that my red flowers are going to look amazing on. That's a bit lost. I think I'll bring back some of that bright colour. So I'm just very gently dabbing in there. I'll have that back. That redness. All right, let's come in. Let's come in and have another little look. All right. What do we think, beautiful people? Look at that. I'm in love. I'm very, very pleased with how that looks. Now that will need to stay flat while it dries. And that's all a bit exciting. All right, let's come back over here. All right, yes, you got me. All right, everybody. Glorious. Yes, indeed, Irene. It is. It's glorious. And I can see much more clearly now how I'm going to finish it, how those red kangaroo paws are going to work for me. And it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So yes, glossing. Don't be afraid of it. It's just paint. You can take it off if you put too much on. You can add a bit if you've run out, if you've not done enough. Just don't add more when it's half dry. You can add more now if you want, and then after about probably half an hour, don't add any more because you need the layer of paint to dry through. After that, you can add more. How exciting. So the question came up through the week about the gesso and texture paste mix, and I want to address that because we're about to, as Lynn says, go off-piste and change the rules. So normally I use a mix, roughly half and half, of gesso and texture paste, and that's what I use for stenciling. I make it whatever colour I need it to be in that mix. Gesso for the whiteness and texture paste for the volume, that it doesn't go flat as it dries. You want also the stiffness from the texture paste, because if you tried to stencil just with gesso, depending on your gesso, it would probably seep under the edges of the stencils and you'd not get a nice clean print. So that's why I normally use half and half. But if I am using red or if I am using black, so any colour with a very high saturation, if I put that into that mix, into the half and half mix, I'm going to be fighting the whiteness of that gesso the whole time, and I'm going to have to put in far more paint, far more colour than I need to, really, because I'm fighting that white that I put in there. So for those, for black and for red, I just use texture paste by itself. I don't put gesso in with it. It's just plain texture paste with a whole bunch of red in it as well, and that's what I'm going to do today. So I like the chrome acryl texture paste. I like the texture of it, the viscosity, the thickness. So it's a student brand. I have spoken to Chroma about it, and they say that the only difference between this one and their Atelier brand is this one has a bit more water in it. So that's cool. Good to know. I like the thickness. Plain texture paste, what am I going to put in it? So I want red because I want some red kangaroo paws here. However, if I make this bright, 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 let's say alizarin crimson, so a deep red, I'm not going to be able to do much with glazing colour into it because it's already too dark. So I think Naphthol Red Light might be my choice. I don't think I want to go just with orange and then glaze the whole thing red, because I definitely want red flowers down here. Oh, I'd better sort out where the stencils are going before I mix up my colour, hadn't I? What I have is Positive Kangaroo Paws and this Temu one too, whatever this is. Some kind of bud thing. And I want to draw attention to my hero area, which is here. And I think I don't want the flowers to keep coming this way. I think I want to pop them over there. So let's have a lovely new Art Stencil Co. stencil. I love how they're just that bit firmer. It makes them so much easier to use. All right, let's try that there. And then let's try another one. Do I want it? Oh, that's going the wrong way. Oh, I think I'm going to want it right there. But it's over top of that one, so I'll have to do one first. So I need to make sure I mix up enough. I'm going to have to put a good chunk of paint in here. And I have some Naphthol Crimson here that's left over from the classroom that I don't really like that much, but I think it might be good to have a good squirt of that and then the Naphthol Red Light. So I've probably gone about, I'm going to say 1/3 paint, 2/3 texture paste. Because if I don't put enough in, it's just going to be pink. That's a good big puddle of paint. So remember, no gesso in this particular mix. That's going to be nice and bold, isn't it? Okay, let's come back over here and let's come in a little bit. Let's do that. Okay, so stencil's in place. There's no big chunks of texture holding that stencil up out of where I need it to be. And remember, always as fewer strokes as you can get away with. So a big blade. Now I could feel how hard I was pushing there and it was too much. Okay. Oh, so vibrant on all that dark green. That's awesome. Now I'll change the angle a little bit, and I need to bring my canvas forward so that because my stencil is going to hang off the bottom there, and if the canvas isn't forward, it's going to stop it sitting down nicely for me. Now I'm a bit concerned if I come right over here that it will pull my focus too much to the center, so I'm going to go just a bit further that way. Change the angle, in we go. Beautiful. Now I think I might want another one down there, so let me just pop this down on a palette. Now do I want that? If I want that, am I going to need to balance it? I think if I do that, see, if I do that, I think that's going to be too much symmetry. I think this is going to echo that too much. Not a fan of symmetry. I'm a fan of balance, but not of symmetry. So if this comes in here like that, that'll direct us over that way, which will be nice, because I don't want my hero to be in the center, and I'm getting perilously close. So if that is going to go there, as soon as I put it down there, it will have this goop all over the back, which will be fine. It probably won't muck up those flowers too much, but it'll mean I can't again use it anywhere else. So what I might do is decide on the anywhere else first. Is that making sense? Or am I just blithering? This is what it's like inside my head, people. Honestly, it's tough going some days. Oh, there's so many beautiful bits. I kind of don't want to cover them up. But also, I really want some more red over there. What about if I just did a bit in there? Because I want some of the little red ones out there so that I can put them down here. So I don't want to be doing all of that stencil. I need a smaller knife, a shorter knife, definitely. So this little short one. I took a photo of this knife the other day because I like it so much and Googled it. And I found a place, I think it was the Sydney Art Store. And I really mean to order a couple. All right, am I still in view? Yes. So I'm just going to be as careful as I can. And I think that's probably as many as I can get. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted it to be. All right, let's pop it now in here. Back to my big knife. And I kind of want it there. Okay, so you put the stencil down on a palette and you scrape off the burden of texture paste off the top. And then you lift it up and you put it in your tub of water, press it down, and then you put that back in your working pile. So down on the palette, clean it off nice and gently, underwater. My tub's not quite big enough for that one. I do have a big tub, but I don't like using it, mainly because it just takes up so much of my table space. And then with a wet rag, straight away clean off your palette. And boom, you're good to go for the next one. All right, let's come back over here. Where are we? There. Imagine if I had a camera person following me around. Wouldn't that be cool? Why don't you turn around? Oh, because of that. All right, let's have a look now at that whole thing. That's looking pretty cool. I'm a bit excited about that. I do like this little echo there of those finer flowers. I need to just grab the ends of these stems and just with a clean finger just extend them down so that there's not a big edge of texture paste there. Just because the edge might get in my way, you know, later on. I'll be glazing and I won't want a step there. I need a soft feathered edge. Now I have quite a lot of red texture paste left over and it's going into my red sludge pot. So it also has some orange in there and this keeps it pretty good for a long time. Oh, that was there for a reason. Do I want some little white flowers there? I don't think I do. I think this is the end of the stenciling. How's everybody coming along with learning new techniques? It's hard going, isn't it? The thing about acrylic painting, the way I do it, is it's so layered and you don't know where you're going to end up until you get there. And I think that's very challenging for a lot of people who are new to this way of painting. I'm super comfortable with it, and I think I always have been, because it leaves doors open for me to make mistakes and then fix them up. And so I'm super comfortable with not knowing what the outcome is going to be, but I have been made aware through my interactions with you beautiful artists, not everyone feels the same. So yeah, good on you for being brave enough to be here. I'm pretty impressed by that. Red. The problematic nature of red will rear its head again in today's session. So we stenciled the red here and I chose a very bright red. It was a mix of naphthol red light and naphthol crimson, I believe. Doesn't really matter so long as it's bright red, but they're super flat. So what we want to do is add in some lights at the tips and some depth down into where they go into the stem. Now we can do two things with depth. We can push something away from us, so instead of it sitting flat on the canvas, we can push the base of it away with a darker tone. We can bring the tip forward with a lighter tone there, so we can do that. And we can also honour the fact that in a stem of flowers, some of them are going to be in the shadow cast by other parts of the stem itself. So they're never under a spotlight and evenly lit from everywhere you look. There is always stuff going on. So wherever the light source here is, we have a fair bit of distance going back there, but there's not really any definitive source of light. And often with these ones, with wildflower paintings. I don't have a definitive source of light. With trees it's different because, you know, they're bigger on your canvas. You need to know where your light is so that where your light is falling on the trunk, if it's backlight, then the middle of the tree will be the darkest and the edges will be lightest. So you have to think about light, particularly for larger things on your canvas. But this, I haven't really made a decision about where the light is coming from. I'm not sure that I will need to. I may though, I'm sort of toying with the idea of putting in a bit of backlighting here and here. So I might do that, but first I want to show you this little trick. So, need a brush. It's so lovely to have you all here. I can't begin to tell you the difference it makes. Just that I know I'm not speaking into the void which is how I normally make a video. Back in the day, Graham was my husband, was my filmmaker, and so I think that's why there's so much energy in some of those older workshops that you can watch on YouTube. Is basically because I'm flirting my bum off with him behind the camera, and there was a lot of that. Okay, I have some Naples yellow here. Now I have chosen Naples yellow because it's opaque, and what I want to do is find some little light tips. So Naples yellow, make sure you don't block it, Dee. So coming in at the tip and then bringing it down to nothing. Reloading, coming in at the tip, bringing it down to nothing. Now Naples yellow, so my paint was a bit thick, so I've just added a drop of water in there. So if I just finish this one flower, that should be enough that it can dry, and so I can show you how I'm going to manipulate this Naples yellow with a glaze on top of it. So I hear you ask, why am I not using white? Which I normally would. If I was tipping up the edges of leaves or something, I would maybe use white or maybe a light green, but I'd probably just use white. Who's here? Oh, Irene's joined me. Very good. Hello, beautiful. If I did white and then I glazed the red over it, which I'm going to do to get a lighter red, I would get pink. And I don't want pink. I want more an orangey red. So Naples yellow is a really good substitute for white in any situation where you're using red. So that means in mixes as well as in glazes, any situation at all involving red or involving green, really, unless you're talking turquoisey greens, that just uses white. But regular type greens, nature type greens, always Naples yellow or a lemon yellow. There is a big thing for those of you who aren't in Australia. Australia does big things, and by that I mean giant sculptural installations by the side of the road. There's a big prawn, there's a big cow, there's a big banana, a big pineapple. They're huge, like they're big enough to well and truly get inside. There is a big gumboot at one of these places in far north Queensland with a giant frog climbing up the side of it, and it's always annoyed the heck out of me because the frog is made in such a way that its lowest back leg is just hanging down. It's like it has a spinal cord injury and no control over its left leg. And I'm always like, for goodness sakes, why could you not just pick that leg up a bit? It looks paralysed. So picky. I've never made a giant frog. I have made small ones. And I might just do this bit here. Now, what kind of red am I going to use? I have options, and I think I'll probably use Naphthol Red Light. But I might try one first with Perononi Orange and just see how it looks. I'm not convinced it'll be red enough. Or maybe I'll use both. I don't have to use one colour throughout. All right, that's enough tipping. Now I'll let that dry, but while it's drying, I'll do the dark down into here. So the dark, I want red that's in the shadow. So red, all of these reds here, these colours out here on the outside of the colour wheel, these are called shades. And the easiest way to remember that is that it's like they're in the shade. So the shades are in the shade. If you look at any colour, so here's Naphthol Red Light here, that comes out of the tube, that is the hue, the fully saturated, meaning brightest possible version. White is added to get in there, that's a tint. Black is added to get out here, and that's a shade. So it's like the colour that's in the shade. So if I look at that colour there, it's a kind of, I mean, it's just Naphthol Red Light plus black on a colour wheel. I rarely do that in real life, but I know I want a darker version. And so alizarin crimson, pretty much straight out of the tube, will do that for me. I could mix something. I could. Probably not going to. I'll try alizarin crimson, and if it's dark enough, good. If it's not, I might put a bit of burnt umber or a bit of purple into it. I wouldn't put black into it because I just find black a bit dead most of the time. It has its uses, but just like sap green, I have a tube. I've had the tube for many years. It's probably off. I wouldn't know because I so rarely open it. I have a backup tube. It's probably off as well. Okay, let's see. I think I might need to bring you in closer for this. Let's extend our extension as far as we can. Okay, so we are down there. Now, if I use this alizarin crimson in, yeah, see, that doesn't make enough difference to suit me. Bit of burnt umber, bit of glaze medium. So I want it very, very dark. And because it's glaze, it's okay that it looks a bit scarily dark in the saucer. Don't be afraid of the dark, my friends. That's better. So on these bases, and then dragged to tuck their little bottoms in. And I think a little bit on some of these as well. We are just trying to introduce as much variety as we can to the mark making in the flower. Although we do use stencils, we don't want that to be anyone's first thought when they look at this from a distance is, oh, it's stencils. We want the stencils all to be thoroughly manipulated. Now, at the base of these, I need to use the colour beside them, so that's green black, to meld those bottoms in of the stems. So it's starting to look pretty good. I'm looking at that Naples yellow, and I'm actually not minding it as much as I thought I would. It doesn't look super duper too light. So with that in mind, I'm just going to use, I'll try some Perononi Orange and see if that glazes them down to a point I'm happy with, because I don't want to undo all my good work. Let's see. It just doesn't quite feel right, but let's try it anyway. No, I do not like it. It's too orange, so I'm going to pop a bit of naphthalene crimson in that mix. It's a semi-transparent, so it's okay for glazing. Now I'm looking at that colour in my saucer and it looks wrong to me, but I need to remember that it's coming on top of Naples yellow here, and that will change it. So starting at the bottom, because I still want the end of it to be the lightest part, the very tippy tip of the bud. That's a botanical term, the tippy tip, just in case you didn't know. It's not, that was a joke. You add your lights and darks and suddenly a flat thing becomes full of light. Rich and full of life is what Sarah said, which is a lovely thing to say. All right, where are we? We're back up here. No, this way. And look at the difference between this cluster and this cluster here. Huge. And so I will continue to do that. Build up my layers of glaze and just look for things that are wrong. So because I've got these bright reds here, I might decide that there's other places I want to continue that exact colour. So I might, for instance, come in here and go, oh, you know what? These little guys, can you see? Oh yeah, they're a bit lost against that green background. So I might just tip them with the tiniest little touch of red. Not necessarily all of them. And suddenly that's lovely and nuanced too. You always want the nuance. You want, how to say this? So the reason I love working with glaze is that all the colours end up related to each other. So you start with a thing, you start with a colour rub, and that's the basis of giving you permission for which other colours you can use. So I think I said it out loud before where I was considering purple to darken my red, but because there was no purple anywhere else on the canvas, I did not have permission from the canvas, because they're bossy wee things. I did not have permission to use purple, so I went with burnt umber instead because it's more neutral. So that kind of feeling of echoing what's happening elsewhere on the canvas, that's super important. That notion of bringing it around. Okay, so I have more of that to do, but I want to deal with some backlighting first because I'm a little bit excited about it. All right, I have here some Atelier Free Flow in titanium white. So I have a couple of these long flat brushes. Now, in the spirit of echoing things, I have some white over here and I don't have any here. And even if I put some there, I still won't have any much. I've got a tiny bit there in the interior of my painting. So I have picked up a broader brush and I am going to bring some white in. Now this is backlighting, so I'm kind of working on the idea that there is light off in the distance and it's peeking through these flowers. Oh, I like that. That's very nice. I think I want to go up a bit higher there. So my brush strokes, where my brush is full of paint and makes a big mark, I put it down and then flick it away. That's nice. I think if I have such strong lighting there, I think I also need to just strengthen a little bit up here too, because that's all been gloshed, or gloshed, was it gloshed, was it glazed? I don't remember. I think it was gloshed with Australian yellow green and olive green mix. And see how that little bit of brightness there just echoes really nicely. I want to be careful here because I don't want to bring too much attention over to that edge. Remember, this is my hero here, so I want to bring attention more to it. Now, some of you struggle with remembering directions, not directions. The direction, every mark should come back or come from your hero. So remember that. It's two things that I think people really struggle with. Big picture items, big picture ideas. You tend to get caught up in the minutiae of these little decisions that you're making, and you tend to forget the big stuff. One is that your composition should never be central, so don't put things in the middle, neither a big gap nor an important object. None of that in the middle. Always to the third. Oh yes, I like that so much. Now, my brain is suggesting that I go in here, but that would give me symmetry and it would frame that central part. Now that's exactly the kind of decision I'm talking about when I mention how easily a composition can become central. So that if I'd done that, that would have happened. And I would have been, oh no, and I would have had to glaze over it again. It would be fixable, but also I just don't want to do it in the first place. So pretty. Okay. So apart from a little bit of glazing down there, I do believe we are done. So how totally exciting. Let me just get back a bit so you can see the whole thing. All right. Is it not beautiful? I'm so happy with how this worked out. I'm not leaving this one plain. No, I'm going to glaze it. It's just we've run out of time. And also, I mean, do you want to see me do the same thing over and over again? I don't think anybody does. Let me know by all means. All right. Okay, everybody, I have to go because it's Mastria's Day as well. Thank you so much for joining me in studio. I'm super pleased with how this has turned out. All right, everybody, thanks for being here. I will see you next time.